Libra, I feel like you're coming out of a bit of a dark night of the soul, or some period of emotional turmoil, or really profound kind of seeking. I get the sense that you are actually emerging. I pulled a couple of animal cards here, and the first one that came out was the butterfly. And so I feel like a lot of you have been in this chrysalis. And when a caterpillar is in the chrysalis, it completely dissolves. It loses what it was in order to become what it was meant to be. And even though there is this sense of emerging for you right now, Libra, there's kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel. It still feels like you're kind of in a solitary energy or just very introspective energy. I'm almost getting the sense of like the major arcana, the Hermit card. You've been going within, finding this inner light, and by doing so, you're actually able to be a guide for other people or offer this sort of insight or illumination. But I don't get the sense it's been easy, if I'm being perfectly honest. However, I do feel like things are shifting. We also have the hawk that came out for you as well. So it does feel like there is a change in the wind. Hawk is very much a messenger. Sometimes it speaks of perspective shifts or zooming out, seeing the bigger picture. And I feel like that is something that you're finally able to do, Libra, or it's starting to kind of click in place. You're understanding what you have gone through in a different way. You're thinking about it in a different way. You have a new perspective on the transformation you have been undergoing. So very, very interesting energy so far. I do want to pull some tarot cards for you as well. And as I'm shuffling, I just want to thank all of you who support this channel. It is with all of this support that I'm able to continue putting out these messages. I do have a membership platform, or rather a donation platform, for those of you who want to make a one-time or monthly donation. I do appreciate that, but really I am just so grateful for any support, whether it's through your likes, shares, comments, subscribes, especially if this resonates, let me know. I do have links in the description of this video as well for personal readings and energy healing sessions, as well as all of my other social media accounts. That way you know you are following me. What are the messages that we have for Libra? And these are also timeless messages as well. So it doesn't matter when this finds you, so long as you are feeling a sense of resonance. Maybe now is even a good time for you to pause and really feel what messages are meant for you and what should be left behind for somebody else. Yeah. So right away, I have the Hierophant coming out in the past. This is a card of spirituality, traditions, belief systems. And I feel like a lot of you have been undergoing a sort of paradigm shift. Or you've really been diving deep into your spirituality or into some sort of belief system. You've really been cultivating a very powerful and profound spiritual strength. I do also feel like in terms of relationships, some of you are realizing that people you have connected with in the past, whether that is recently or from kind of another chapter in your life, maybe there wasn't a compatibility in what you truly wanted or in your beliefs. That is something I'm kind of getting as well. So I feel like there's been differences in belief systems or in perspectives, and you've really been kind of refining for yourself what is meant for you. And maybe you even thought you wanted a certain type of relationship or certain kind of life, but something has shifted. Your spirituality shifted. Your sort of worldview shifted. And of course, as I say worldview, I do get the world coming out here as well. Now, this card actually did come up in reverse, or I at least pulled it in the reverse position, but it almost feels like it's kind of just the entire ecosystem of what this card represents. I don't necessarily want to think of it as upright or reverse as much as it is a whole dynamic. And whenever we see the card, we do see a transition. We do see endings. We do see new beginnings. So again, I do feel like a lot of you are kind of in a threshold. And seeing the world in reverse, it is almost like what you thought you knew about the world is kind of turning up on its head. Some of you feel like you've been carrying the weight of the world as well, or maybe you have shut yourself off from the world in order to go within yourself, in order to really connect spiritually. I almost get a sense of like monastery with this card as well. Maybe some of you went on some kind of retreat or took some kind of trip, took some time for yourself. So that could be kind of a confirmation that this energy is for you, or this message is for you. But I do feel like, again, we already have two major arcana on the table. It feels like there's some pretty major life themes that you are exploring right now. And we do have the Three of Wands. So I do feel like there is this sense of looking forward, figuring out where you want to go next, making some kind of plan. And not even just being in the planning stages, it feels like there is something coming into view. The path is becoming clearer. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's almost like you're getting this burning bush. You've set some intentions, you've put things out into the universe, and now there is something coming back. Something is becoming clear. Maybe there is some sort of travel, because both the World and the Three of Wands can indicate travel. And with the Hierophant also on the table, perhaps there is something spiritual in nature with this as well. But ultimately, with this Three of Wands, it really is bringing me back to the butterfly energy that we pulled at the very beginning here. I feel like there is this emerging, this return to the world. And we do have the Tower. This is the change. This is the challenge. Interesting that I pulled this upright, but then I showed it to you reverse. If something seems very dramatic or like the end right now, Libra, I don't think it's as scary as you're making it seem. Your own mind, your own fears might be getting away on you here a little bit, Libra. And even if there is some sort of ending, it might not be the ending of the thing itself, more so the meaning, what you're making that ending mean. So if there is a relationship ending, the belief might that you will always be alone. If there is a job that's ending, it might be something about you not being successful or never being able to find stability. I don't think that's necessarily true, though. I think that's why I did get this Tower in sort of a reversed position. So quite interesting here. And again, I do feel like it's important for you to kind of zoom out and get this perspective, because perspective has been sort of a buzzword here, and it almost feels like you've been gaining perspective, or you are gaining perspective. And what do we have for the future for you? Where is all of this going for Libra? We have the Ace of Cups. There is a new beginning. And the Ace of Cups often represents some kind of emotional, spiritual, or even like a new relationship, a new commitment, something that is very meaningful to you, something that's very fulfilling. It's very heart-centered. So it does feel like there is something in the future here that is what you really desire, or what you're really yearning for. And I feel like you're realizing that. You're coming into that. And again, I'm just going to say, if it feels like there is something that's ending, maybe a relationship that has been ending or changing for you, I do get the sense that maybe there is somebody new coming into the picture, or you are connecting on a deeper level. And even though these are timeless readings, I do think it's important to note that we have Neptune now in your opposite sign for pretty much the next decade. And we do have Saturn moving into Aries as well, which is a planet of restriction, a planet of discipline, commitment. And Neptune is all about transcendence, spirituality, dreams, illusions. And when I see this combination together in your astrological seventh house, which is just a fancy word for your opposite sign, especially if you are a Libra rising, I get the sense that you are no longer settling for anything else, anything less than what feels like a soulmate connection or a spiritual connection. And I use these terms very loosely. I think people have multiple soulmates. I don't think of this as just like there's only one person that's meant for you. There's many people you could be compatible with. But I do get the sense, especially if you've kind of been in this sort of place where there hasn't really been an alignment spiritually or with beliefs, this is something that's changing. I almost get the sense some of you have been in relationships in the past where you were hoping the person would change their perspective, they would change their mind. But I'm going to be honest, that's not loving. That's attachment. You wanted them to be the person that was meant for you. And I think you understand. You know if this message is for you, right? Maybe for some of you, you are in a relationship right now that is actually very aligned, but it feels like you're going through a little bit of a rough patch with that tower in reverse, or maybe this other person is going through a challenging period, and that could be bringing up some, whoops, that could be bringing up some challenges or some trauma. Interesting that I just had my phone go off here. Maybe there's some sort of calling. It was actually an alarm. So maybe there is something that feels quite alarming, something that is jolting you awake. Maybe you're realizing some assumption that you made about relationships or a specific relationship actually might not be the reality. And that's sort of Saturn and Neptune working together as well. You're going to be seeing relationships kind of in some interesting ways, because at times you could get very dreamy and romantic, but it feels like there could be some sort of bubble that is popping or bursting at the same time. It's like illusion and then disillusionment. So that could be a theme that you're really starting to feel, especially in these early stages of these planets moving in to Libra. This actually is going to perfect around February 11th. So again, this is a timeless reading, but if you are watching in February of 2026, especially, this is very likely some theme that is coming up for you. And it feels like whatever is coming up can only bring you closer to what your heart is really yearning for. And we do have the Judgment card here as well. So yeah, it feels like there is a big wake-up call. Again, I think that is also a theme here. There is a wake-up call for you, Libra. So whatever is sort of shaking you or getting you out of this sort of specific way of thinking or a rigid way of being, especially in terms of your relationships, there is something that is kind of jarring you. And what you thought you knew about relationships or kind of the way you approach relationships might even be challenged, especially if you had a traditional background or traditional upbringing. You might actually find that you really do want a non-traditional relationship, or at least a relationship that is different than what you thought. It doesn't have to just apply to relationships either, Libra. This could also be talking about things that feel like your purpose, things that feel like a spiritual calling, because that is also Judgment as well. It is kind of like this call to action, this spiritual calling. And so it feels like this could really apply on a lot of different levels. And I mean, we do have a majority of major arcana, so I don't think that this is just localized to one area of your life. You're going through some sort of disruption or evolution, or I should say revolution is actually the word that really came to mind. So it's interesting I said evolution. But again, it feels like there is something here where you've kind of outgrown an old version of yourself. And you're actualizing. You're becoming who you were meant to be. Anyways, Libra, those are all the messages I have for you at this time. I do hope that this was helpful. If you've made it all the way to the end here and really want to claim this beautiful transformational energy, this Ace of Cups, this new beginning, this new lease on life, then give a little butterfly emoji. I love to hear from all of you in the comments, and again, it does help this channel grow. And also, if you want to stay up to date with what's in the cards for you, I really encourage you to hit that subscribe and bell notification. And again, you can find all of my links in the description of this video. And I will see you next time, Libra. I'm sending lots of love and blessings your way. Take care.